Okay, you lost me at transcendence. I mean, transcendence, yeah, okay, I'll take it. Hi guys, my name is Alex. I am a sex coach and welcome to another episode of Sex Coach Peer Review. This time I'm taking on a big one, Sexplanations. This person has almost 1 million subscribers. They have a ton of 1 million view videos. The video I'm going through today is her guide to great sex. And as a sex coach myself, I'm going to see if her video is something that you guys can apply to your sex lives in order to improve the sex you're having. Is the advice she's giving any good from the perspective of me? Let's find out. And I will say that this is not a representative sample of all of her videos, but I think this is a good one as a kind of summary of how to have better sex, which is what I'm all about, so that hopefully you guys can have better sex in the process and learn a thing or two from me and from Sexplanations. So, let's begin.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lindsay Doe. Welcome to Sexplanations. In a past episode of this show, I talked about what the research has to say about great sex. Today, we're going to talk about my version of great sex. What makes sex great for me? This episode is sponsored by AdamandEve.com, an online sex toy store where you can get all sorts of things for great sex.
Surprise, guys! My video is also sponsored by Adam and Eve. I'm kidding. Of course it's not. What are you, crazy? No.
The research by Klein-Platz and colleagues identified these 8 major components to great sex: being present, connection, intimacy, communication, authenticity, transcendence, exploration, and vulnerability.
Okay, you lost me at transcendence. I mean, transcendence, yeah, okay, I'll take it. What exactly is transcendence? I'm not sure. I'm going to have to go back and see what they say transcendence is in terms of a sexual context, but it sounds pretty good. Everything that she just listed, those are amazing. Those are all great components to amazing sexual experiences. If you have sexual experiences where all of those are present, questionable about the transcendence thing, you're gonna have great sex though. But what does she have to say makes great sex? You're just gonna have to watch this entire video to find out.
I like these, but I want to share my own checklist for great sex. Number 1, give it 6 tries. Unless the sex is no good, very bad, must stop and never do it again, I recommend having sex 6 times with a person before concluding that it won't be great. This takes the pressure off the first try and reminds everyone playing that it's a new behavior. Of course it's gonna have some kinks to work out. Or working. When my partner and I were first talking about sleeping together, he asked that I give him more than 1 shot at sex so that he could learn more about my body and how to please me. I offered 6 tries. Sex was great on the first, but my guess is that this is because we were in the mindset of learning and playing, not one and done, succeed or fail. Having flexibility to decide if we liked it and how to improve it made the sex better.
Love it. Perfect. Amazing. The only issue I would have is if you're going to have sex with someone, try to frame it better than just, we need to have sex 6 times. Clock's ticking. We got 6 sex sessions to get to. I don't know how I said that without stuttering, but somehow I did. So she's exactly right with that. If you go in with the expectation that you want to have good sex, learn about that partner, and just get comfortable with them and make it kind of like this journey thing, psychologically that allows your partner to have better sex because they feel more comfortable, they feel like they can be themselves, they feel like you're going to make an effort, and it's not this pass-fail thing like so many relationships do, where you just don't talk about sex, you have no idea what your partner likes at all whatsoever, and you go into the experience knowing nothing. If luck would be on your side, you create a great sexual experience. If you're unlucky and things just don't work out the way that you're randomly doing them, then you might not ever have sex again. So if you go in with the mindset and express to your partner that you want to have a good sexual experience, you want to get to know them, see what works, see what doesn't, and go from there, it's already going to set you up mentally for a better sexual experience, you and your partner. It takes that pressure off, and I would say this is a pretty good one.
Number 2, phone sex first. Before taking off your clothes, try flirting on the phone. I know this is a big ask, especially for people who aren't comfortable talking about sex, but you're going for great sex here. If you really want it, you'll have to be willing to say what you like and hear from others what they are or aren't into. Doing this on the phone does 2 things. 1, it builds sexual tension because you're not right there cutting to the chase. And 2, it cushions the vulnerability. You can talk candidly about what you want without anyone feeling judged or rejected by uncontrollable facial expressions. The last time I started a relationship this way, I masturbated on the phone and described what I was doing to myself and how my body was changing. It gave the other person a sense that I know my body and I like pleasure. Two very good ways to get great sex.
Okay, I actually love that. I haven't heard that one before, but that is amazing. So I always emphasize that communication is key in sex. I'm pretty sure I even did in the first tip that we went over, because it opens you guys up to thinking about having sex with each other. If you talk about sex before actually having sex, it causes your partner to imagine the sexual experiences you are talking about with you. They imagine having sex with you and what it would be like, and they put themselves in that experience. So it kind of allows them to be more comfortable and have less insecurity and less vulnerability going into it. So having phone sex first, it just gets everything out there. It takes the pressure off when you actually meet in person and have the actual real sexual experience, and it kind of gets you guys into the mindset of dirty talking, communicating about sex, imagining having sex with the other person. So all these things are just going to open you up more, allow you to be more present in the experience. That is going to allow you to have better sex. So far, so good. I love both of the first tips that she gave.
Number 3, play with yourself. I can't stress enough how valuable it is to have intimate knowledge of your body, your unique arousal cycle, and what does and doesn't turn you on. Partner play can be amazing, but it will be more frequently and more consistently great if you figure out you and maintain a connection with yourself. Masturbating is also an excellent way to pregame. Rubbing one out before you're hanging out with your partners can often mean that when you do have sex, you'll be able to go longer, giving more time to explore each other's bodies and play around with different levels of arousal.
Okay, so she lost me there a little bit on that one, and I'll explain why. First of all, for all you guys out there, I don't think that you need any more masturbation to find out what you like. I think that tip is directly communicating to women. Women, of course, yes, you should be able to know your body, know what you like, know what turns you on mentally and physically, what kind of touches work for you, what kind of fantasies you are thinking about, what things you're thinking about that are arousing you, because then you can tell your partner and have your partner do those things, dirty talk you in that way to get you in that headspace. So that, yeah, I can get behind that. Rubbing one out before you have sex, I disagree with, because what it's going to do is dampen your desire for sexual activity because you've already released that, especially for men. Women, there's not such a long refractory period after you have an orgasm where you just kind of don't want sex, but men, that definitely exists, and I would definitely not recommend ever doing that. You want to be passionate in the experience, and by sapping some of that passion before you go into the experience, it's not going to be as good as it could be.
Number 4, have at least 4 options. Great sex, like great anything, includes the ability to improvise when things don't go the way you'd hoped. For example, if a guest doesn't show up on a late night show, the great host knows how to compensate. If strawberries aren't in season, a great chef still knows how to garnish a cheesecake. For me, it's usually that my hips get tired or my wrists, so backup options might include using a vibrator, changing to a position on my side, taking a break to read erotica, or receiving a massage.
Okay, I kind of like that. I wouldn't limit yourself to 4 options. You can open it up to more, but I think that's a solid tip. You need to be flexible in sex. You need to be able to kind of roll with the punches. If mistakes are made, laugh them off, do something else. If something crazy happens, it's not the end of the world. You can move on from it. You can do something else. You need to be flexible. You need to be open, and you also need to add variety. If you have the same sex over and over again, it's not going to be good anymore. It's going to diminish in quality the more you do that same thing over and over again. There are diminishing returns to sexual pleasure. So being aware and mindful that your partner is not quite feeling it or something is not quite working, and having the flexibility to change what you're doing, either dirty talking, what you're kind of saying, portraying mentally, anything like that, any flexibility like that is going to make you basically a sexual master, because then you are the master of your domain and you can make any situation be pleasurable and great. So yeah, I agree with that one.
Number 5, schedule sex. Before sex education became popular and people learned to plan sex like other aspects of their lives, the best sex was thought to be spontaneous. You're hiking in the woods and bam, you decide to give a blowjob behind a tree. Great. Spontaneous sex can be great, but it's much more likely to have great sex when it's on the calendar. It becomes something to look forward to. The vulva becomes wet closer to the time set aside for sex, and because you've thought it out, there's less likely to be disruptions, conflicts, or false start.
Okay, I love this tip too. This is something I tell to a lot of people that are having trouble finding intimate times or matching up their sexuality with each other, this is a great tip for the reasons she said. It kind of psychologically primes you for a sexual experience if you mark it in a calendar, say this is what's going to happen. And I would say you can go even further than this. The day of that sexual experience, tell your partner what you're going to do to them, text them sexy things, get them aroused throughout the entire day. That is going to build up in their mind, create all of this passion, this sexual tension that's going to explode and be amazing when it actually happens.
Number 6, have sex more often. Like most physical exercise, the more you do it, the more you improve. With some limits. Yoga, skiing, swimming, ping pong, your body becomes more familiar with what to expect, so it's actually ready to go the next time around. I try to do dance fitness regularly. When I miss a few weeks, I can still come back and get into it, but it's so much more fun and easy when I've been doing it consistently and I have control over my muscles and my alignment. Sex can be the same. More often, more fun.
Okay. I would say there is a caveat to this. Have sex more often with the same partner. So going back to the very first tip that she went over, get to know that person, have sex at least 6 times was what she said. But yeah, practice with a partner, get to know that person, and yeah, then you will be amazing at providing sexual experiences for that person. If you are just trying to have the most sex possible and you are having casual sex, hookups, all that kind of stuff, that stuff isn't going to do anything for you growth-wise. You're not going to learn anything because there is no time to actually learn. You can't possibly provide an amazing sexual experience to someone that you just met, that you don't know what they like, you haven't experienced sex with them. So I would say practice is important, of course, practice makes perfect, but do it in the right way. Do it with the same partner consistently so that you can get good at sex that way. I know for myself, I've learned more about sex being in a relationship, having sex with the same person, than I ever have having a random hookup or just meeting someone and having sex with them for the first time.
Number 7, aftercare. I speak at universities and conferences, and it's really exhilarating to be on stage in front of hundreds of curious people. I get a lot of energy from it, like sex. When it's done though, everyone goes home and I come down off this high of speaking and get really lonely. So just like with sex, the experience is greater for me when I have aftercare. At speaking engagements, this is people who want to go out for food afterward or friends who can talk on the phone. For sex, this is holding my partner for a short bit, getting up to pee, then holding them again until my body goes back to homeostasis. Again, for me, great sex is not party, 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 come, off to work. It's party, party, come, 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 cuddle, cuddle, cuddle.
Yes, that is extremely important, and beyond what she said, what that'll do, the cuddling afterwards, is kind of strengthen your guys' bond as a couple, and that will strengthen the sexual experiences that you have in the future, because you're going to be more comfortable with that person, you're going to be more able to be vulnerable and present in that experience. It's going to alleviate any stressors, anxieties, insecurities. So yes, I totally, completely agree with this. I wouldn't say it's just for her, I would say it's for everyone, guys and girls. The more that you can do to get comfortable with your partner and just kind of enjoy that experience, rejoice in it, the better the future sexual experiences will be because you're more comfortable with that person now.
Number 8, compliment. Before, during, and after sex, give compliments. Say what you honestly like, increasing the likelihood that you'll get it again. Avoid making comparisons like, the way you touch my nipples is better than anyone I've ever been with, because it puts someone else down to put your partner up. And avoid attaching too much criticism onto compliments, like, the up and down strokes with your tongue were really divine, but God, it hurts when you bit me. It hurts so much. This is a time to praise what you like and build self-esteem. Offer performance reviews, but gently. Like, I love how you hold my arms down above my head because I feel dominated. Maybe next time you could go a little lighter on the grip.
You know what one of the worst things for sexual quality and sexual pleasure is? It's insecurity. And you know how you fix insecurity and make it go away so that you can have better sex? It's compliments. It's boosting your partner's self-esteem. Listen, sex is so much about mental states, and if you have insecurities swimming around in there, stressors, anxieties swimming around in your head, it's just leaving less room in your head for pleasure, for passion, for arousal, for horniness, whatever it is. So yes, compliments are amazing. It's a way to alleviate any insecurities so that your partner can be present in that experience and think about how amazing the sex is rather than thinking about how their body looks or what face they're making during sex.
Number 9. Be honest. Not just in giving compliments, but in the relationship and how you live. When people aren't honest with me, my body does things to armor itself and protect me. This isn't the case for everyone, but it's also not uncommon. You might not be able to get an erection or get wet or relax enough for penetration. You might break out in a yeast infection or skin rash and wonder why. Body and/or genital armoring is one explanation. And certainly when my body is trying to guard me from another person, great sex is nearly impossible. The greater the honesty, the greater the sex. At least for me.
Okay, that's an interesting one. Yeah. I would say it kind of goes back to the previous tip where if you're criticizing, if you're being judgmental, it's going to shut your partner off. It's going to increase anxiety, increase insecurities, increase all that stuff swimming around their head, and that is leaving less room for passion, for arousal, for horniness. So yeah, that's kind of the inverse of the last one, the opposite of the last one. So yes, compliment, don't judge. I completely agree. Good tips.
Lastly, number 10, stay curious. Part of what I enjoy most about great sexual experiences is not knowing what's going to happen next or what we might try in the future to keep things interesting and playful. It helps to ask myself, what can make great sex even better? What needs improvement? What could I try next? What already worked well that I can include again? How might my partner feel about this? I love staying curious.
Variety, variety, variety. Yes, stay curious, try new things, be open-minded, and yeah, that's going to lead to great sexual outcomes, amazing sexual experiences. So how did she do? She did extremely well, I would say. I think all of these tips are pretty spot on, pretty amazing, and I want you guys to notice that most of these things that make up great sex, her guide to great sex, they are things that involve the mind. They are mental states, they are kind of relationship type things where it's trust, it's communication, it's all this kind of stuff that alleviates headspace so that you can be present in the experience, be vulnerable, be comfortable, and just be passionate and lose yourself to that sexual experience. And I want you guys to also notice that she didn't go into any physical techniques, any tips or tricks like that you have to do oral this way, you have to stimulate the G-spot this way, because those things are personal preference based. And anyone on the internet that is giving you advice on things like physical stimulation techniques, it's not good advice, because it's going to work on a select few people and maybe only one person, the person that gave that advice. So this more universal stuff, I love seeing tips like this. These will improve your sexual relationships, so good on her. Definitely check her channel out. Again, this is only one video, but I thought it might be representative of her entire kind of ethos on her channel, and it's good, so I approve. So that'll do it for another episode of Sex Coach Peer Review. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Definitely subscribe. Check out my other videos. I put out videos all the time and they're amazing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Get out there and have amazing sex.